Hey guys, how are you doing today? I have another crochet tutorial for you. Today I'm going to show you how to make these bow crochet gloves. The other side is just regular crochet. So let's get started. To make these gloves, you're going to need 200 yards of worsted weight yarn. You're also going to need a 4.0 millimeter crochet hook, which is also a size G, and a pair of scissors and a yarn needle. The first thing you're going to want to do is to measure all the way around your wrist. I have a 6-inch wrist, so the instructions that I'm going to give you are for a 6-inch wrist. So if you have a 6-inch wrist, you're going to chain 28 stitches. If you have a larger wrist, just chain a few more. Just make sure that the number is an even number that you chain. After you've chained 28, you're going to skip the first chain and do 27 single crochets, one in each chain, all the way down the row. And now you can try to wrap it around your wrist just to make sure it fits. You want it to be just like perfect with a little bit of give. See, I've got a little bit, I can pull on it. Now chain one and turn and single crochet back down the row. It doesn't matter if it curls up like this, mine does. It'll straighten itself out as you are crocheting. You're going to repeat this chain one and turn and 27 single crochets back down until your piece of work measures 2 inches. After you have your 2 inches, we're going to start the bow section. So what you're going to need to do is mark the very center of your work. Since you have an odd number of stitches, you should have one stitch that's exactly in the center. And that's the very center of my work. Now we need to figure out, do we need the front on the right side or the left side? So which hand are you making? This is my right hand, so this is going to be the front, right here. So this right here is going to be the front of my hand, and this right here is going to be the back of my hand. So on the front, we want 5 stitches in the middle for our bows. So count inward. So make sure you have 5 stitches in the middle. Since I have 27 stitches, I'll have 4 stitches before the bow and 4 stitches after the bow. You can put stitch markers there too, but I don't really need to. If you've chained a different amount because you had a different size wrist, then you just follow the same steps. You'll find your middle, you'll pick which side wants to be the front or the back, and then you're going to find 5 stitches directly in the middle of one section. So this section doesn't exist, and in this section now, you're going to find 5 stitches in the middle. So what you're going to do is chain 1, and then single crochet until those 5 stitches. So mine happens to be 4 single crochets if you're making the small version. And then I'm going to chain 5. I'm going to skip 5 stitches, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and I'm going to single crochet into the very next stitch. So I've got 5 stitches and I've chained 5 here. Now I'm going to single crochet until the marker, which is the middle of my work. And since we've already done this row, we now know where the front is. So I don't need this marker anymore. It was just to help me set it up. So take off your marker and single crochet all the stitches until the end. Chain 1 and turn. Now single crochet until you're chain 5. So this stitch right here. And now we're going to chain 5 again. Skip these 5 stitches again and single crochet into the next stitch and until the end. Now I'm going to repeat rows 1 and 2 again. So chain 1 and turn, single crochet until you're chain 5, chain 5, skip those chains, and then single crochet until the end. Now we're going to repeat row 2 again, so chain 1 and turn, and single crochet until your chain 5, and then chain 5 again, single crochet into the next stitch, skipping those 5 stitches, and then until the end of the row. So now we've repeated row 1, row 2, row 1, and row 2, and we should have 4 little strings right here. Now we're going to go on to row 3 and make a bow. Chain 1 and turn, and single crochet until the chain 5, now when you get here, you're going to chain 2 and then single crochet through the very bottom loop. So I'm going to single crochet these all together. So go under, pull up a loop, and single crochet, making sure to pull it tight. And then chain 2 and single crochet into the first stitch over here. And there I have a pretty little bow. And then simply just single crochet until the end. And now we have our first bow, and we're going to repeat this 2 more times to have 3 bows on here. Having trouble seeing where the chains end and the stitches begin, these are the chains. See how they're not attached to anything and you can stick your finger in? You know it's a stitch when the chain dips into the top of your crochet. Alright guys, now I have my 3 bows, and I'm going to do a single crochet top for the glove, just to finish it off, and I did 1 inch, but you can do as long as you want. I have really short fingers, so you might want to do 2 inches if you have longer fingers. So for the first row, chain 1 and turn, and single crochet until the chain 5 stitches. Now chain 5, skip those 5 stitches, and single crochet until the end. Now chain 1 and turn, and this next row we're going to repeat until the work measures 1 inch from the top. You're going to single crochet all of the stitches. So when you get to those stitches that you chained on the previous row, you're just going to single crochet them. And then keep single crocheting until the end, and you're just going to single crochet all the stitches. Alright, now you should have something that looks like this. What you're going to do now is place your hand down and fold it over, because you want to see where you're going to start to put your thumb. So as you can see, the cuff part that I crocheted first goes up to about here, and then the thumb's going to start up here and end right here. If you've already made 1 thumb gusset, you can use that to mark where you want your next thumb gusset to start. So you're going to take your embroidery needle, yarn needle, and we're going to seam up until we want the thumb gusset to start. Now for the first one, you're just going to use your hand to show where the very bottom of your thumb starts. It doesn't start here, your thumb starts down here. However, if you've already made one, you're going to place that on top of each other and then just seam it up So you want it to fit on your hand like this. So, and now we're going to make a triangle right here. That will be your thumb gusset. We're essentially going to be crocheting a triangle. Chain 2 and do 2 single crochets into that very first chain. Skip the chain closest to the hook. You should have 2 stitches at this point. Now chain 1 and turn, and single crochet those 2 stitches. Chain 1 and turn, and do 2 single crochets into each stitch, so you should end up with 4 stitches. Chain 1 and turn, and single crochet 1 time in each stitch for a total of 4 single crochets. Chain 1 and turn. In the very first stitch, do 2 single crochets in the same stitch. Do 1 single crochet in the next stitch and 1 single crochet in the second stitch. Now in this very fourth stitch and last one, once again, do 2 single crochets. You should now have 6 stitches. Chain 1 and turn, and do 1 single crochet in each stitch for a total of 6 stitches. Chain 1 and turn, and you're going to do 2 single crochets in the very first stitch. Then you're going to single crochet until the very last stitch, and you're going to do 2 single crochets in the last stitch. You should now have 8 stitches. Chain 1 and turn, and do 1 single crochet in each stitch for a total of 8 single crochets. Now chain 1 and turn, and do 2 single crochets in the first stitch, and then single crochet until the last stitch, and then 2 single crochets in the last stitch. You should now have 10 stitches. And this is the thumb gusset right here. And now we're going to fasten off. So chain 1, cut your yarn, and pull through. And now we're going to sew this to your glove. So the thread that we have on the very point, we want to use that first. So put that on your yarn needle, and then put the point right where you've already seamed up. So right here. Just wrap it through one more time to make sure that it's on there pretty good. And now you're going to sew this side of the thumb gusset up to here. So now I've got one side of the thumb gusset sewed on. Pull that through. And now we're going to start at the top of here. So find the very top of your glove and make it flush together and put this string on your yarn needle. And then start stitching down the side. Stitch it down to the very top of this triangle piece. Now with the rest of the thread, we're going to stitch this side of the triangle over here. So take your contrast color. What you're going to do is insert your hook where you want to start and put this color on the inside and pull up a loop. So you have a loop right here. Now you're just going to keep going around and around on the inside. This is called slip stitch crochet or something like that. So insert the hook, pull up a loop, and just slip stitch through. Pull up a loop, and slip stitch through. When you get back to the beginning, poke your hook in the very same stitch where you started, pull up a loop and pull through. Go ahead and cut your string and just pull it all the way through, and then slip that end on a yarn needle and just poke it in. And then you can turn it inside out and just tie these two together and cut them. And then your bow gloves are done. I hope you guys like this tutorial and let me know what I should make next. I'll see you guys later and have a great day.